In the most recent capital market soundness reports from the CMA, they had a very interesting paragraph in dealing with virtual assets and virtual asset service providers. And this is what they said: banning these virtual assets would, quote, encourage an underground economy, stemming them from current usage of virtual asset service providers in the country. So regulation essentially would pave the way for the mitigation of the identified risks. Now, in context, we're talking about concerns around money laundering and so on and so forth. But given what you've seen now and the meta narrative, the meta trends we've seen with companies like Coinbase going public, the trading of things like Ethereum and Bitcoin becoming mainstream, is that an asset class that you think has a future in the NSE?
So, as a company, we've been exploring it. We know that digital assets is a progressive avenue, and it's a matter of time. And I think we've all agreed that today, some of these opportunities, you don't just push them under the carpet, otherwise they'll come and totally disrupt you. So it's a matter of time. So we've had a digitization strategy for a while, trying to explore how to integrate these new opportunities into the NSE, and that's a conversation that's going on. I think the route that we'd like to take, so that we can build a good learning curve of this opportunity, is to probably start with security tokens. So a company can come, do an issuance, a fundraise, but instead of offering shares, offer tokens, and have these on blockchain, and come with a platform that can trade them. And we've got two companies that we're putting sort of are in a discussion stage, and some are even started on what they would call some of pilots, because we believe that digital assets are going to be very exciting going forward. I think it's something that we can't push outside the carpet. Technology is driving everything today, and we want to be front and center of there when it happens.
How big a market do you think that could be?
Well, I think the growth of that market can be limitless because of the universal ability to reach the universal populace. I mean, for instance, to open an account would be so easy. I mean, I could be south of Brazil, and I open an account on blockchain, and I can see my assets securely. You could be able to do a fundraise globally in seconds. So I think it's a huge market. And I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we want to be ahead of that curve. So we have a study going on internally, and the good thing is that we have got interested parties who want to go through a sandbox test on this particular product.
What about the OG cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoins, the Ethereums? Because like you say, there are millions of people in Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, who are already trading in these assets. And granted, regulators have their own views on those, and in some cases a very hostile view, but the market is already there. So if they want to bring that trade into the NSE, how do you get that share of the market?
So for now, I think we've had this conversation. Again, it's not a conversation that can be held at the exchange alone. It involves a number of stakeholders. You remember the central bank did a white paper they're calling it the central bank digital currency, and they wanted comments from the various industry players. We did provide our input, and we were very our contribution centered on what you've just said. How will we tackle these other assets like bitcoins and stuff? So we gave our paper, our contribution in that regard. There's not been another discussion around it, but we need all players into the game. We can't operate without the banks. We can't operate without because we are a regulated entity. You need part of the regulator input in it. So I think that was a good start, because there's pressure. I mean, there's opportunity. You telling me about Bitcoin. I mean, I saw this thing at $800, and today it's at $57,000. I mean, that's been. With hindsight, was I a clever investor, wasn't I? So I look at it and I say, gosh. So I think we have to be we must be open-minded to this kind of things, and that's the attitude the exchange has.